All right, everybody. Hey, welcome to class. I know we're a few minutes behind starting today, but it's because, as I promised yesterday, we're setting up a live hangout session for our premium subscribers. So I see a lot of people are here. Rosie, you made it back. Thank you for being in class. We have some new students too, so please welcome if you just showed up a little bit later. Our new student, we have a couple, it's your first time. Racha, do I say Racha? Is that right? From Morocco, beautiful country, beautiful place. I've always wanted to travel there. I love warm climates. I think I've talked about that before in class. So I have that link all set up for you students to discuss some of the topics that we've talked about in class after class is over. And so if this is your first class, it's a free class. You can hang out, you can chat with everybody. Deborah, hi, you're here as well. Walla, hello, how are you? And again, if it's your first time in, I think Bindia, this is your second class. And like I said, I'm happy to answer any questions you have. So if I'm speaking too quickly, just ask me to slow down, and I'm happy to slow down. Or repeat words or pronounce things again for you. And that goes for everybody. Yes, Rosa, you are very smart. You show up to all these classes, and you're a great student. Your homework has been fantastic lately. That's one of the things you get if you're a premium subscriber. So you can sign up for a month for free if you want, and I'll put the link in the chat later on. But you'll kind of see what the class is like, and you can sign up. You'll get homework corrections from your teachers. You'll get a quiz. We're going to do a quiz next week, actually, and that's specific to our premium subscribers. But you get one-on-one hangouts with me and with other students as well to practice English, which is great. Chat is fun and fine, but I really like when we get to interact, both of us. I get to hear your pronunciations, and you guys get to share English practice together. So it's really good practice, really good fun. Let me show you what the Smrt page looks like. I'm going to take attendance right now. And Aaron, you have been signed up for the class. We took care of that for you. I sent you the code again just in case so you have it. But if you are signed up and you can't access any of the pages, just send me an email and we'll get it all fixed for you, okay? So I'm going to take attendance here really quickly. And then we're going to get to the lesson for us. Oh, okay, that's for the other class that I've already took attendance, which is good. So let me log in here and go to the lesson that we're going to study today. Our topic has been poverty, social issues. Now this is an academic, English for academic purpose class. We focus on academic English. So we use a lot of TOEFL words, a lot of academic terminology. We study APA formatting, essay writing, presentation skills. We have a great unit on presentation skills I'm very excited for. And I want to even share some of your presentations and things like that in the class, which will be a lot of fun. Luciana, hello. And somebody's from Bangkok. Awesome. Very cool. Lots of comments. Good job, everybody. Love the comments. Keep them coming. And I'll try to catch all of them. But if I miss your comment for some reason and I don't respond, I just missed it. It went up too quickly in my chat window here. So you could just comment again if I didn't answer your question, and I'll be happy to find it in there. Wow, Egypt. Nora, hi. How are you? You're in Egypt. That's awesome. So Nora's up at 1 a.m. just about in Egypt right now to study English with us. How awesome is that? That's so cool. That's another country I want to travel to so badly. I want to see the pyramids at Giza and experience Egyptian food in Egypt, which is the best place, of course. Okay. And Yasmin, you're in Newcastle. Awesome. Very cool. Well, you're from Newcastle. Maybe you're somewhere else in the world studying English right now. And we got a student from Poland, Mari. Hi, how are you? Good to have you in class. So many cool places. And Leanne, of course, from Vancouver. Hey, how are you? Are you studying at our campus in Vancouver with Mark and Sean and everybody? Great place, great city. Love that city. A lot of fun. So we have campuses in Vancouver where our teachers Mark and Sean, and sometimes me when I travel up there, teach English and have a live studio. We also have a campus here in the US of A where I am right now. It's a beautiful little city, Spokane, Washington. And if you guys want, you can study with your Smrt Live teachers in person also. If you want to study here at Spokane College of English Language, I'm going to send you that link in the chat. And you can apply. We have really good tuition deals right now. And Spokane's a perfect city to study in. Lots of native speakers, lots of good American culture, and everybody here is so nice and friendly. There's a lot of people like me and Nicole and Neil who love international students and share culture and food and have big parties and student activities and events. It's a whole lot of fun. So if you get a chance and you're even thinking about applying for study in the United States, you should check out our website because we partner with many amazing American universities. So this academic class is designed for our students, and you guys if you want, to pathway into a strong academic American university or community college where you can get a great degree and take that back to your home country or just decide to live here. Some of my students that I taught 4 years ago love Spokane so much they live here now, and that's really cool too. So, excellent. Let's see. Oh, Leanne, sorry, you're a teacher. I didn't even catch your last name. Yes, Leanne is another amazing teacher up in Vancouver, which I love. Thank you for being a part of the chat, Leanne. This is great. So we have another native English speaker, Leanne, who can, if she's going to hang out with us, answer some questions and learn some English with us. So yeah, this is our website. Check it out if you want. I'm going to get started on the lesson though. So again, our topic, poverty and social issues. We're going to change gears a little bit and use more application of English. We're going to look at a specific context. You may have noticed from the heading here that we're going to study word transformation. So I'd like to just open the chat conversation up to who can tell me what word transformation is? What do I mean by word transformation? We studied prefixes before, and so you should remember maybe that prefix trans, right? Transportation, transformation, same prefix there. So who can tell me, who can give me an answer? Aaron, it's okay if you're late. Glad to have you in class. Thanks for being here. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you like the videos. That's fantastic. All right, so let's see. All right, we're a little slower on the chat, but if you can tell me what word transformation is, please do that while I'm opening up the lesson here. And then we'll kind of get into it, study some great English, and then we will have our premium subscriber chat after class today, which I'm really excited about. That should be a lot of fun for you guys. So this is a writing skill. We're going to study word transformation in a couple different capacities. The first being a writing skill. And then later on, our next class, we're going to go a little bit deeper into it. And eventually, we're going to apply this in a class next week when we look at how the application of these skills will work its way into essay writing. And we'll also notice some of the similar strategies, academic strategies for reading academic essays or listening to academic presentations. Pronunciation is important too. I'm just so excited for class today. I'm tripping over all my words. All right, Julio, you're eating while enjoying this class. That's fantastic. Love it. Enjoy some food, some good English lessons. It'll be great. Okay, Rosa has a good answer here. Word transformation, when you are given a keyword and you add to it to make more words. Yes, that's a good introduction to what word transformation is. So an important writing skill and also an important reading skill in English is if you understand the roots of words, you can then make strong guesses as to the meaning of similar words. Now, not always, it's not 100%. There are very few 100% rules in English, but it can give us a good strategy for making a strong guess if we don't know a word when we're reading it. Or it can help us broaden our vocabulary, make our vocabulary bigger and stronger by being able to create new words from root words. And Chari has a good comment there too. So prefixes and suffixes and the meaning, it can change the meaning there. Converting, Yasmin says, yes, it's converting. That's another good synonym for transform, convert, change. So one good example is, Chari says add, yep, that's right as well. Adding or changing part of a word. So who can tell me what part of speech commonly ends in ly? And our parts of speech are commonly nouns, verbs, prepositions, adverbs. So what end in ly? What part of speech ends in ly? You can make a lot of good these type of words if you add ly to the end of a word. So that would be the suffix. The suffix is the last part of a word. So which ones end in ly? Like this word here, exactly. What part of speech is that? What word form? Adverbs, Rosa has it. Yes. Adverbs commonly end in ly. Not all adverbs, but many, many, many adverbs in the English language. Like the word exactly. You're exactly right. Luciana, good job. Adverbs, yes, you are correct. So, if we're presented with an example like this, you must do exactly what the manager tells you. This could be the original sentence, right? You must do exactly what the manager tells you. And then we're given key vocabulary and a sentence with a blank where we're going to practice writing in 2 to 5 words, including the new word, which cannot be changed. So we're forcing sentence structure here. We're forcing syntax to practice and flex our muscles in English. Good job. Everybody is well versed in their parts of speech. And Dora, hello. Use the word that's a prefix generally, and it goes at the beginning of words to show an auxiliary meaning, an alternative meaning, the opposite meaning usually. So we have conventional and unconventional, charismatic and uncharismatic, I believe is a word. Maybe I just invented that one. Unhappy would be a good example. Or like disagree, disapprove, not approve. They show a negative meaning or an alternative meaning in some circumstances. So here's one possible example. If we were given this sentence, and the original sentence was, you must do exactly what the manager tells you. We want to preserve meaning. We want to keep the same meaning, but use a little bit different wording, different language. So we're going to put in the word carry. We cannot change this word. We have to put it in, but we can add a few other words to make a good sentence. So a good way to do that using the word carry would be, you must carry out, phrasal verb there, carry out the manager's instructions exactly. So we still have instructions exactly in both parts here. And we still have you must, same auxiliary verb there, showing obligation, right? From an authority, a stance of authority. So this is saying you must. If we say do exactly, carry out the manager's instructions exactly, has the same meaning. It preserves the same meaning, but we get to use different parts of speech, which is very important in academic writing because we don't want all of our sentences to sound the same. That would be a very boring essay, right? Or if we're just learning, Luciana asked about phrasal verbs. This is just one example. We replace a phrasal verb in here to have a very similar meaning, almost the same meaning as do. Do is a very common verb in English, and it can be very useful, but it's most common in questions and negative sentences. Or if we want to use it emphatically, to show emphasis. If you told me, Joshua, you don't like ice cream, I might want to make it very expressive and use an exclamation mark. So I might say, I do like ice cream. And I would probably use an exclamation mark. I do like ice cream. I really do. I promise, I do. So that would be emphasis. So it's not very common in general English, but many students who are still learning English or beginning to learn English, they will use words like do. What I give as advice to my students when I'm preparing them for an academic future, university or college, I will advise them not to use verbs like make or do. So I'd like you to remember this, especially if you're a premium subscriber and you're going to be writing me essays that we're going to be working on together. Please, in academic writing, for now, for practice, please do not use words like make or do in academic writing. Now, if you have, if you're writing an essay and you have a question about one of your sentences and you think, no, I really need the verb make here, or I really need the verb do, send it to me. Send me an email and what the essay is about, and I will give you advice or coach you on that. But as an exercise, I tell my students, please don't use the verb do, and please don't use the verb make in academic writing unless you're using do for a question or a negative. Now, why would I say this? Because there are so many words in English. I do not know all the words in English. I do not know anyone who knows all the words in English. We are always learning. We continue to learn forever. And there's new words all the time too. So it's important to continue to grow our vocabulary. And so to do that, I practice using specific verbs for the exact right situation, the context. Remember last class I talked about context, what the situation is in which we need to use the words. So here's an example. We would not say something, Bindia, you say why. Can you make your sentence a little longer? Why what? What would you like to know? Make a full sentence and I'll be happy to answer your question. If it's why we don't use do or make, I'll give you an example. Beginning students, when they learn about an essay, maybe they learn the word, but they've never written an essay in English, and so they say, teacher, I made an essay. Teacher, I made an essay. And so I will advise them and coach them and work with them and say, we don't use the word make with essays because there's a better word, there's a better verb. What is that better verb? Write. We would say, I wrote an essay. So that would be an example. I wrote an essay, not I made an essay. Now, if you say I made an essay, a native speaker will know what you mean. They will understand you. But that is closer to survival English, where I can get your meaning, but I realize that you're still growing your vocabulary. You're still building your vocabulary. So that's another example. Build. We generally would not say I made a building. We would say I built a building. I created a building. I developed a building. I established a building. There are so many words that are more specific to the context that I want to give a very specific meaning, that I will choose those words very carefully. This also helps in your communication skills. So when you are communicating with other people who speak English all over the world with whatever you choose to do, academics or business, you want to give the exact meaning sometimes, right? Imagine you're working in finance and you need to communicate a very complex business deal. You would want to be very articulate in your language and very careful in your language to communicate exactly what you want or exactly what you mean. This is very important. Oh, Rosa, you studied this a little bit with Sean today. That's great. Collocations? Collocations are wonderful. Pairs of words commonly found together. Two or more words commonly found together. Like phrasal verbs. Phrasal verbs, we combine specific, often prepositions and words to create phrasal verbs. So, Bendia, thank you for expanding your question. I appreciate that. Why don't we use do or make? So, more examples. Do is great for questions and great for negatives, but we don't always say do as a full verb. It's not common in English as the only active verb in the sentence. For example, we would not generally say, I do exercise. Because exercise is a noun, but it's also a verb. It's an intransitive verb, so I can say I exercise. It can be transitive or intransitive, but I can just say I exercise. I would not say I do cooking. Probably never going to hear that from a native speaker. We would say I like to cook, or I cook for a profession. I'm a professional chef. I like to, there's more specific words for cook too. I bake. Bake is a specific type of cooking. So we learn the basic words when we first are learning English. And as you continue to get better and better with your English, you'll learn specific verbs where you will only use them in certain situations. So it's also important to practice using the words. Even if you don't have a reason to use them, start a conversation with a friend who speaks English and make the topic whichever subject you want to practice your vocabulary in. So Aaron likes the explanation. Thank you. I hope it's helpful. All right, Musa, hey, how are you? Welcome to class. Thank you for being here. And Sumaya, welcome back. Good to see you again. Okay, so Nora asks a great question. We need to seem fancy in academic writing instead of using general words. Kind of. We do want to sound intelligent, and we do want to give clear, specific meaning. But you can go too far with it. If I just throw extra words in a sentence to try to seem fancy, or I'm just trying to sound smart, it can give the opposite impression. It can make me sound unintelligent. To go back to our earlier prefix. If I use, say, 5 adjectives to explain a noun in an academic essay, when I really don't need that many, I only need 1 or 2, it's better to use an economy of language. Use concise, thoughtful, accurate words. So I chose those words very carefully, and maybe you could give the same meaning in a stronger way, or Sean or Mark might be able to give an example of a stronger way to say that, but my advice would be use clear, I don't even remember exactly what I said now, clear, specific, or precise, or accurate. I like accurate. Use clear, accurate. I'm going to write you guys a great example here. So here's an example of a sentence that is exactly not the advice I'm giving. Take a look at this sentence in the chat. I said use clear, accurate, specific, perfect, nice academic language. That's a bad sentence. It's a bad example. There's too many adjectives there, right? It's an uncomfortable sentence to read, and it doesn't give my focus, my meaning, right? So what I want to do is I want to use, thank you, Rosa, concise and precise. Use concise. So concise is taking all of this meaning and reducing it to a pure form, something where it's specific and accurate, but it still gives the exact meaning that we want, right? So concise, specific language in academic writing. So Nora says, go straight is the best way. Don't waste your time. I'm not sure exactly what you mean. So if you want to clarify that for me. We want to, and Sumaya, you're not too late, don't worry. We want to use language that it doesn't have to be really fancy, but it should be accurate and true to the meaning we want to convey. So I give this exercise every quarter that I teach in academic writing class. I ask students to look at a long thesis sentence that I usually create. And I create it intentionally to be poor language, to be a poor example of a thesis. So I'll create a big, long thesis statement that has too many words, extra meaning. We talked about this a little bit in an earlier class when we were talking about academic writing and how we can summarize and we can paraphrase. And it's important when we paraphrase using different words to maintain the original meaning. And it's also important when we summarize to maintain the inclusion of the key words that deliver the most accurate information. So, we don't want to sound like an unintelligent person. So Aaron, nobody here in this chat at all is unintelligent in any way, right? We all are very smart people who have lots of information. But I have a lot of information, and if I don't choose specific words, it can make me seem unintelligent, right? Nobody wants to seem unintelligent. So the idea is to practice our language so much that we get accurate verbs that give the truest meaning for what we want to say. So that's what we're going to practice here, using specific language that is more academic. So yeah, it sounds a little fancier, but in academic writing, the purpose is to give clear, intelligent information. That's the whole idea. We just want the person that reads what we write to understand our meaning exactly. But we want to do it in a way where they don't have to read 10 extra pages of adjectives in their writing. So Nora is clarifying here. She says, I mean that instead of using a lot of words, we can write down the direct idea in a good way. Perfect. I love the way you said that. That's great. Yes, we can choose our words specifically so we give the meaning we want and it sounds wonderful, accurate, intelligent writing. That's the idea for academic writing. So I'm going to open the exercise, and usually the exercises are something our premium subscribers have access to, but this is a really good one to practice here in the chat, in the class. So Lee, hi, how's it going? Good to have you here. So here's more examples of exactly what we're talking about. And I'm going to make a copy here so that I can type in this. It's just for practice, so I'll delete it later. So this is the same thing that we saw in the example there. Just going to make it full screen here for you. So let's try this together. I'm going to give you guys a chance to, in the chat, answer some of these. And I'd like you to just use, you can use a few extra words. So you see here, we have to use the word carry. But we got rid of do exactly. Well, we moved exactly to the end of the sentence. But we got rid of that verb I said I don't want students to use in academic writing. And instead, we replaced it with the phrasal verb carry out. Carry out. So this does make the sentence a little bit longer, right? We delete the word tell and the word do, but we keep the meaning by changing the sentence a little bit with this phrasal verb, carry out, and we make managers possessive, so the instructions belong to the manager, right? What the manager tells you, it's a fine noun phrase, but it's not as specific as carry out instructions, which belong to the manager. What the manager tells you is more casual language. You might hear that more frequently on the street or at a casual place of work, where someone who's writing an academic essay wants to use very specific verbs. They don't want to say do, they want to say carry out the manager's instructions exactly. So we're just changing the sentence a little bit. So let's try to practice. The first original sentence here is, we had to finish all the work before we could leave. We had to finish all the work before we can leave. So we want to keep the meaning here. We want to keep had to, because that's obligation, right? Had to. So that stays there. We have a different verb here that we're going to have to work around, and we're going to insert the new part of speech, until. We're going to insert that in there so you can add words around it, but I'd like you to use the word until in this section of the sentence and see if you can create a good academic sentence using the word until, and you can add 2 to 5 words. So no more than 5. We don't want it to be really, really long. But try to change this sentence and see what you can come up with, okay? So I'm going to make the space here, and you're going to want to change the sentence just a little bit, but here is where you should use the word until, and you can put additional words in there as well. So I'm going to give you a couple minutes, see what you can come up with, and then we'll work on it together, okay? So take a minute there, ask any questions you have. I'll be in the chat still, and see what you can come up with, okay? All right, uh-oh. Okay, so have to address this, can't let it go, sorry. Don't give up, Rosa. You're a great student and we're all learning together. And I want to say this to everybody in the class right now and anybody who's watching this video later. It's so important we don't get discouraged in learning our English. And here's the way I like to explain it. You may notice the language I use in class is specific. I always say we are learning this lesson. I might say, hey, you guys are making great comments and you're crafting great sentences, but I'm very careful to always say, we're learning this today. We are learning together. Because just like I said earlier, I don't know every single English word. And I don't have every single English rule memorized. Sometimes, I have many of them memorized, but sometimes I reach a subject that I'm less familiar with, and I have to do some research, and I have to learn and try to remember things that I have learned in the past. So, we're all learning together, and don't be discouraged. I'll explain more. Some students want more explanation, and thank you for saying that in the chat. I always want comments like that, because it lets me know what our students' needs are, what we can practice more to help improve all of our English. So that's perfect. Thank you, guys. So we have some great explanations here, and I'll explain what we're doing a little bit more, and then we'll try another one together, okay? So we have some comments and some example sentences from our students, from Nora, from Luciana, and I just want to look at some of these sentences together. So one way we could say this, and there's many possibilities, is we had to stay, if we're using the word until all the work was finished. That's a great sentence. Or another replacement word for finished, we could say completed, right? Same sentence, but just using a different word on the end here, completed. Both of those are great examples. And we had to stay up all the work. Very close, Aaron, but it doesn't quite maintain the same meaning. And we could use some phrasal verbs. A lot of times phrasal verbs can come off more casually. There are many great academic uses for them. But what we're doing here is we're trying to change the sentence, keep the same meaning, but force different parts of speech into them. Force ourselves to use different words, but keep the same meaning. Just to practice our vocabulary, to practice our writing skills. So I'll do this one together, just as we're going, to show you some different examples. The original sentence that we're going to change is, Tim had not expected the concert to be so good. Tim had not expected the concert to be so good. So this is a surprise for Tim. He had not expected that it would be this good. We want to keep that meaning. One other way we could say this is by including the word better, just a different choice. You get word choice, and you get the choice of syntax in your sentences. You can often say the same sentence many different ways. So that's how you develop style in your writing and voice in your writing. So much that when your professors or friends or anyone else that reads what you write can say, oh yeah, that's this person. That's Neil, or that's Nicole, or that's somebody. So one way we could write this is, it was the time constraint, right? It felt like a quiz show maybe, Rosa? Don't worry, you have all the time to practice it. We're just going to get through as many as we can, and then I'll give you more practice later on as well. And we can talk about this in the chat after class. So if we're going to use the word better, if someone said, hey, I want you to use the word better in this sentence, I could say the concert was better than, I'm actually not sure. I would phrase this differently. See, here's the stylistics of writing. I would say the concert was better than we had expected. Or if I want to preserve the meaning, I probably wouldn't say we, I'd say Tim. The concert was better than Tim had expected. That's one way we can say this. If I wanted to change the sentence a little more, I could say it a lot of different ways. It's a sentence that is expressing surprise. So we could say Tim was surprised that the concert was so incredible. Now, this isn't really following the rules of our exercise because I changed a lot of words there. But the meaning is preserved. It still has the same meaning. So that's all we're doing. And we're focusing on word transformation today, so I am going to try to shoehorn these words into these sentences as many ways as possible. So let's try to do this one in the chat. Employees are able to borrow a laptop from the office if they forget their own. Employees are able, they have the ability to borrow a laptop from the office if they forget their own. So we're going to try to use the word happen in this conditional sentence. If blank, their laptops, they can borrow one from the office. But you have to try to use the word happen in this space. Okay, so there's a space here, and I'd like you to try to use the word happen in that space. All right, so that's the sentence that I want you to create. I just put that in the chat. So I'll give you some time. I'll give you, let's do a full minute, okay? So you have a full minute, maybe even a few seconds longer, to try to create your version of this sentence using the word happen in this space right here, okay? Give it a shot. I definitely want to see an attempt from you, Rosa. Give it a try and just write something. Write anything you want, but make sure you use the word happen somewhere in this space, and you can add words also if you need to, okay? So give it a shot and see what we can come up with. All right, great. One of my favorite things is happening. I'm gonna make the screen even big for a second here for you because I'm so excited about it. You guys are trying these amazing sentences and something really important is happening. We all did it, all of us together. We typed quickly, we gave it a good effort, and we all made tiny little nuanced errors, right? Errors are important in this. In class, errors are important. As we continue to learn and grow with our English, it's so important we, not that we make errors, right? That's not something we want to do all the time, but it's important we catch them. We catch our errors, right? And I see many of you guys doing this in the chat. You see sometimes when we type something incorrectly or we misspell a word, like if I try to spell word like this, and I'm like, oh no, I messed up, that's not the correct way. We often will use an asterisk in the corner to make the correction and just show that, oh, I caught my own error. It's important to go back through our writing and try to catch our own errors to make improvements so that we do not make those errors in the future. So let's look at some of these example sentences that everybody did. So good. And Luciana, I do want to look at your sentence. I'm using it as an example because you're very, very close. You said, if it happens to employees, and we had lots of great answers. I just chose one of them. If it happens to employees to forget their laptops, and just an easy spelling correction there, but they can borrow one from the office. So this part of your clause, or this clause, this part of your conditional sentence is great. They can borrow one from the office. We keep that. Happens here is an easy verb to use in this way because you're thinking something happens to someone else, right? But we're actually using happen here sort of in the way we use auxiliaries. If I happen to forget my laptop, kind of like employees might forget their laptops. It's similar usage. So if we want to say employees happen to forget their laptops, happen to forget, like by chance. We say this in English. It's more common in British English probably, but we're using happen in a slightly different way than what you thought there. So the important part is we all tried something, right? We threw out a sentence, and we can all sort of look at them together and say, oh, how can I make this stronger? And I did it too. We all did that, right? So good work, good effort. And Luciana, so close. We'll try again. More sentences, right? Nora said, if employees happen to forget their laptops, they can borrow one from the office. That's good. It's correct, but make sure you capitalize your first letter, okay? Capitalize. So you want to use the big I there for if. And Aaron, also capitalization comment, your sentence, if some workers transfer to other offices, you would not capitalize the word some there. That would be lowercase. So you want the small s there. And Musa, if employees happen their laptops, we want to keep the word forget. We want to keep it there. Lee says, if happens to their laptops. Also, good effort, but the best way, the strongest way to put happen in this sentence is to say, if employees happen to forget. If they happen to forget their laptops. So we kept the meaning of forget, we kept that word, and we preserved the meaning, we kept employees, because it's important who forgets them, right? So great effort. Yes, okay, no problem. And it's a slightly different meaning than we're used to, Luciana, using the word happen there. Let's look at the next one. I'm not going to go to the music because I want to make sure we get as many examples in here as we can. The first sentence, the original sentence we want to change is someone broke into their apartment while they are away on holiday. This is also stronger Canadian or British or Australian English. In America, we don't usually say holiday, we'd say on vacation. On vacation. Just a fun little fact there for you. So, someone broke into their apartment while they were away on holiday. We want to use the word had. So, how do we do this? We're going to make it passive. We're going to say, we're not starting with the generic subject someone, we're going to change it to they meaning the people who own the apartment. They had their apartment broken into. Oops. Sorry about that. No, don't need that right now. They had their apartment broken into. Now, this is an important structural change that we're exploring here. We are shifting the focus of the sentence from someone broke into their apartment. When we start with a generic object like that, we're putting the focus and the attention on someone, but we don't know who it is. So in my opinion, it's stronger to start with the owners of the apartment or the apartment itself, because we really, at this point, we're more upset. We don't care who broke in, just that somebody broke in, right? So they had their apartment broken into, and I repeated into there by mistake, while they were on holiday. Okay, Sol said they had someone who broke into their apartment while they're away on holiday. Your sentence structure could be a good English sentence, but I want to point out that that would change the meaning of the sentence. If they had someone who broke into their apartment while they were away on holiday, it makes the sentence incomplete. You're stretching out a clause there. So if, for example, if we said they had someone break into their I've seen students create sentences like this as an example here, but this would change the meaning drastically. That would mean that they asked someone to break into their apartment, or they hired someone to break into their apartment. Maybe they're committing an insurance scam or something crazy, right? It would drastically change the meaning of the sentence, but we're using a lot of the same words. So something like this is a mistake that is easy to make. Native speakers would make it in 101 English classes, perhaps. And it doesn't convey the meaning that we want. It changes it and weakens our sentence, because what your reader will get will be very different than what you intend. And that's the purpose of this, using word transformation and syntax or sentence structure, how we choose to structure our sentence, to make it as strong but accurate as possible. It is kind of crazy, right, Sol? That'd be a silly situation. Nobody wants that. Aaron, your computer stopped and you're killing time. Well, I hope your computer starts. Your chat's still working, so that's good. Break time for Aaron. Don't worry though, you're a premium subscriber, Aaron. You can watch the video again, and you'll have a homework assignment tonight too, so plenty of time there. Okay, let's look at one more example here before we go to the chat. But I'm sure our students, our premium subscribers, are excited for that chat. So we'll do that in just a minute. Does anyone need to know the definition of prioritize? I want us to fully understand all of the words in this sentence before we try to rewrite it. So what does prioritize mean? Who can tell me what prioritize means? Let's see some different explanations there in the chat. And then we'll attempt to do this sentence together. The video class stopped. Normally it does stop at 3:30. It's 2:30 to 3:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, which is the time here in Spokane, Washington. But we're going a little bit longer today because I had to set up the chat for our our premium subscriber students. So I'm going to make sure we get full English examples here in class. Okay, so Nora already has a guess there. If anybody does need to know prioritize, it is to order a list from most important to least important, right? So if we prioritize 3 basic necessities of human life, right? Food, water, and shelter. Food, water, shelter. If I prioritize that, what is most important? What do we need most? Food, water, or shelter? Or I'll make it even easier. Food, water, or oxygen, air. What is most important? Breathing, drinking water, or eating food? Obviously, it's breathing, right? I can last not very long without breathing. I think average human can last like 7 minutes without breathing before there's permanent damage, maybe even less. Good definition, Luciana. And Sol, good definition. Excellent. Musa, thank you for asking what it means. I love questions all the time. Atal, the most important. To choose the most important thing, yeah. So the most important thing of those three, food, water, or oxygen, oxygen is number one. You need that the most. Water is number two. You can survive longer without food than you can without water. So air number one, water number two, food number three. So if you gave me a choice of losing one of those things, I choose to keep water and air. That will keep me alive the longest. Bindia, good job. See, you're doing great. Second class. Great answer. Lee says, can we use happens instead of accident? I'm not sure which sentence you're talking about. Happens and accident. But if you can type examples in the chat, I'll try to answer your question for you. So, did John prioritize this list? We're using do as a question auxiliary, so that's fine. But we're going to start now with the word was. So the way that we can reorder this using who, we're going to use an adjective clause in this sentence with who as a relative pronoun to introduce the adjective clause. I'm going to say, was it John who prioritized the list? Was it John who prioritized the list? I'm maintaining all the same meaning, but I am reordering the sentence, shifting the focus a little bit, and making it a little more academic. And it's my opinion, this is more academic, because we maintain that it's past tense. We keep the tense of the verb. Did becomes prioritized, and was, with the past participle there. Was it John who prioritized the list? But it's a more direct sentence, in my opinion. Did John prioritize the list is a fine question. But if I say, was it John who prioritized the list, I maintain my meaning. I get to use a different sentence structure. This is a more complex sentence to create in English. So it comes off across as more academic. We're using a adjective clause there. Was it John who prioritized the list? Instead of just saying, did John do this? I'm saying, was it John that prioritized that list? It's kind of like the difference between a direct question and an indirect question. Indirect questions are more polite, generally, in English, and also come across as more academic. So I sound more polite and more intelligent in my English skills if I were to ask something like, could you tell me when the bus arrives? Instead of, when does the bus arrive? When does the bus arrive is fine, and people will understand your meaning. But like we were talking at the beginning of class, one good reason of many good reasons to learn academic English is because of people's perception. We are all intelligent people who know many things. Many of you probably have a lot more knowledge than me in so many areas. I just happen to have knowledge in English, but I could learn so much from you, computer programming or medicine or so many things. But we have to have the ability to communicate that. So it can help you and is advantageous in a lot of different ways. If we use indirect questions, which is a more complex sentence structure in English, I sound more polite, I sound more intelligent, and I'm still being effective and direct in my English. So great skills to learn. Let's see, Lee, you said, can we use happens instead of accident? Perhaps students know which sentence you're referring to. I don't remember using the word accident in any of our examples. Maybe I just read over it. I can try to find that for you. Go ahead and direct me to what we're talking about there. I'm happy to answer it though. So let me know, ask again, and I will try to give you examples and answer your question. So it's that time. I'm going to have to direct our premium subscribers to the Hangout where everybody can chat together. It's a link that I'm going to share with you in your email. So please check your email in just 1 minute, and you'll have the link to hang out and chat about this lesson, okay? Homework for today for the premium subscribers is to finish this exercise and send it to me. And then also, I'd like you to, as you read, hopefully you read English outside of class, read the newspaper, read a book, read academic papers, anything you want. Find an article on a website, but find me a couple examples of sentences that you think are good academic sentences or sentences that can be improved a little bit stronger. So complete all of these examples and questions in the exercise, but also add a few examples of your own. So let's do at least 5 examples that you find on your own in addition to this, okay? And share those with me before our next class, which is next Tuesday, 2:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and every Tuesday and Thursday at 2:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Thank you for being here. If it was your first time, welcome. This was one of many classes that are going to help us improve our writing, pronunciation, our presentation skills, our reading strategies and skills. We're going to learn TOEFL words, words that you might find on a TOEFL test or IELTS test. Everything academic we will cover. All right, Eduardo has a question. Was he who prioritized the list? Not quite right. It's a good attempt. We do need it in that sentence. Was it he who prioritized the list? We do want, if I can spell that correctly there, was it he who prioritized the list? I can explain this grammar structure next class. There's a lot of factors there, and I got to start the chat for our students. But I cannot simply say, was he who prioritized the list? And I wish I had time to explain this class. Come back next class and I can explain it, or send me an email. I got to get this chat started. But we have some other good examples there. We could say he, or we could say John. Both of those are good options. We do need that in there though. Okay. Was it him who prioritized the list? Actually, it would not be him in that sentence. We would use the subject pronoun, not the object pronoun. And again, I'll explain that all later. If you want to be a premium subscriber, check out our link that I'm going to post in there. If you want to come study here in the USA with me, Nicole, and Neil, check out our application there. If you want to study in Canada with Mark and Sean, they're awesome as well. But thank you anyway for showing up to this class. You guys are a wonderful class, and I'm happy to be here every week with you. So, have to go. Thank you again so much, though. I will see everybody later. Have a great day.